Hello, welcome on in. I'm Virgil Cold here. We are doing Spilling the Tea, episode 17, I think. We double check, but we are joined with Cheshire Jack. If you would like to
Hello.
give yourself a little introduction.
Hello, my name is Chester Jack. I'm your local interdimensional cryptid cat hailing from Wonderland. I like to play a lot of story based games and a lot of games in general. So we explore all kinds of different worlds that people have created. I try to focus on story based games because I find that there's just so much stuff that people want to tell out there. But I've done a lot of different things. I've done voice acting for a game dev. Some people may know him. His name's Vidas. He did the Tim Moray series with the little smiling mannequin guys way back in the day that you YouTubers like Markiplier played. And I'm going back to school. I'm a family man and all kinds of other wild and crazy things. I stay very busy. I'm also Geronimo Kiddo's manager, so that keeps me also very busy.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, I see. We see Geronimo in the chat there. Okay, welcoming in, and Owen Sen Gainer here is also welcome and drifting to it. Thank you for coming on. But yes, so you you wrangle Geronimo Kiddo. How was that?
I it it is a time some weeks. And she takes every opportunity to run away as fast as she can from me when I'm trying to do manager, content creator things. But we get it handled, and she's doing a great job. I'm proud of her.
I I say that, but if I had a manager, I'd probably I'd be way worse, I'm sure.
Well, you never know. But also, like, I'm more of a glorified manager. My job is mostly make sure that the schedule's getting done and handle like PR and relations type things and double check opportunities that come Geronimo's way. She forwards them to me for me to review and make sure that they sound legit and reasonable and go from there.
Hmm. This. Uh. Okay. But so for those, wait, I was gonna check. Yes, this is episode 17. I was pretty sure it was, but I want to be sure. But yes, Geronimo's now looking at us. Ah, I I
She
think
can
this.
guess all she wants. It'll be fine.
But yes, for this one, so this is spilling the tea. So we answer. I have a how this works. Is I have a set list of questions. We'll start off with easier ones, and then get on to maybe more ones that are complicated or maybe have a bit longer answers. Um, but
Emotional damage.
but uh 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 but if I'm gonna get messages from Geronimo after this, aren't I?
No, she's just gonna message me. It's fine. Don't worry about
Oh, okay. She'll give you messages that then to forward me.
it.
Geronimo told me say she's mad at you and she's not. Will you pass her on to Geronimo this meme I found?
Yeah, that's my new job as manager. I'm middleman for most things. It's fine.
Um, but so but so I just because I have my set list of questions, that means you in chat can still ask any questions you may have. So feel free to put those in chat. Uh, and as long as you don't send them like right as we're about to sign off or whatever, then we should be able to get to them. No problem. But so we will start. Where did I put my list? There is my list. Uh oh, Geronimo was asking what is your actual height?
Uh, as the Cheshire Cat, my height actually changes. I'm a shapeshifter and can adjust my size accordingly. My natural size is what is the length? I don't actually like go up to a scale or anything.
how many gumballs tall are you?
So I am approximately 164 feet tall. Approximately. And the only reason I know that is because there is a Canon picture of me fitting inside a Olympic-sized swimming pool. So probably more than that, probably closer to like 200 because I fill over the swimming pool and someone basically is diving off of a diving board into my floof. Now, that being said, I adjust my size typically accordingly to the person that I'm around. Most of the time, I fit near to their size because I don't want to intimidate them. I want them to feel comfortable and safe. But if I need to, I can be much bigger.
Okay.
I smell like the emptiness of space in your hopes and dreams. And a
The-
little bit of the ocean.
You look like you'd smell like Baja Blast and pixie sticks.
Don't be projecting on me, Geronimo. I know what you smell like.
There was a. I don't think there was like Taco Bell had like a Baja. No wait, was it a Baja Blast or whatever, like gelato or something like that for a period of time?
I don't know about the gelato. I know they had a freeze, Baja Blast freeze.
It was Baja Blast gelato.
Oh,
I know it was.
maybe it wasn't here where I'm at.
Nope, gelato livid.
Interesting. Druid, my floof is floofy enough to cancel out terminal velocity.
That's pretty floofy.
It is pretty floofy.
Okay, so for our start off softball quit. Wait, are you potty trained?
In the void, sure. We'll go with that. Plenty of space to go.
All right, that goes on. First time I've asked an interviewer about that one. Okay, all right, can cross that one off the list.
Bucket list achieved.
Asked a guest if they were potty trained. Yep. Okay. Now on to solve world hunger. Tell no one. Okay. uh. All right. So, what is your favorite color?
Red. In particular, a sort of a more blood red, like a crimson red.
Hmm. Okay, nice.
Sort of like my fur.
I appreciate a good red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, red's my favorite color too. So, what is your fur care routine like?
I'm kind of lazy about it, but normally it deals with about 5 gallons of conditioner.
Any particular brand? Ooh, is it that one with like? No, wait, that's a shampoo. I was thinking about like there's that hair care like brand that has like the horse on it and like mane or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Horse mane or horsetail or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's just a detangler. Does this much floof, this much everything. But part of it's also I do like the
There's
what are
a
they?
dragon
The little
in my wagon, and I don't mean to be bragging about the best tail wagon dragon
sugar
in a
gliders.
wagon you could meet.
I feel like it's a sea name. They're a pet that you can have. They're a slightly more exotic pet, but they have extremely floofy bodies, but you can't give them a bath because they'll tend to like die. So my skin or hair routine is more like them of taking dirt baths.
Oh, like a chinchilla?
Yes, that's the thing. Yep. And the conditioner I use is a leave-in conditioner that doesn't have to be washed out.
I sometimes know things, but okay. Thank you very much for the follow, Sunil Strange. I hope I did
Thank
that.
you, Sonny.
That's how you keep. So you same. Jerome, with your hair so long, are dingleberries ever a problem? They just float off into the void.
It's propulsion technology, and it is deadly because they attach to my hairs, which have void-like tendencies and properties of transdimensional nature. which means as I propulse them out, they can phase out of existence and then into existence somewhere else. So good luck. If you've ever had poop just randomly hit something and you see no birds, you're welcome.
We're skippity toilet now. Oh gosh.
That is how I keep my hair so beautiful, Sam.
Is that genuinely being made in a movie, or has that been a meme? I can't tell anymore.
It's I really every fiber of my being wants to believe that it's just like a meme that people are running with as hard as they can, but there's just too many like I want to say reputable sources that are reporting that it's a legit thing, and I'm very uncomfortable about that.
Okay, I will say one thing or whatever. So I watched uh the guy Meat Canyon on his like off
Yeah,
channel
yeah,
like
yeah,
Papa Meat, and he just
yeah.
what episode he did like a blow by blow of like the plot of Skibbity Toilet, and after a while I was kind of like, oh my gosh, this is just this is just like this is just a massive shit post. It's self-aware and stuff like that. So at least on the source material, I'm like, it knows how dumb it is, and it's just like
So
making
it's
on this,
Deadpool.
yeah, and it's making these like Evangelion like plots or whatever just to like it's super dumb, so I'm like, okay, I get that. Just if you were to turn that into a movie, then that becomes like, it takes itself seriously, and then it's just like that's just eating itself.
Yeah.
So like, oh, I'd wonder if even the original creator would even get money from that.
For Skibbity Toilet?
Yeah, if they made a
No.
movie, because it would also get into the issue of like, because they're using like the G-Man like model as the thing. So I don't. Anyway, Druid asks, it's hard to see, but how long is your snoot?
It's proportionate to about like a Maine Coon.
Hmm.
It's a little bit hard to see on this thing, but not so long as say like a dog's snout, but a little bit longer than a normal cat's.
Okay. So, next question: what is your favorite drink?
My favorite drink. Uh, I drink a lot of water, surprisingly enough, which would probably surprise a lot of people. As far as sodas, Pepsi is my go-to. Um, for adult beverages, Cuba Libre, or most any rum type based drink.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Probably hibiscus tea.
Okay, well that does answer like the question on the next question, which would be what is your preferred tea? So that answers that as well.
I used to be more of like a black or green tea drinker, but I recently found hibiscus tea, and I really enjoy the way that that flavor hits.
Yeah, it has a very delightful tartness to it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I think that's why I enjoy because I do enjoy like sour candies and things like that. So that tartness like gives me a little bit of joy as I'm drinking it. So I don't feel like I'm just drinking leaf water or alternatively with coffee bean juice.
Don't be insulting my leaf water.
I insulted both of them, so I'm right in what I do.
Geronimo, he's insulting both the bean water and the leaf water.
Sure am. Funny enough, I still drink both of them, so there's that. Fun fact about coffee: if you put enough coffee grounds into a thing, and make coffee, you make espresso. I discovered.
Oh yeah, isn't that just like where you press it? You have like a
You don't even have to press it. So, little backstory: I went to this thing called Seabase, which is a scouting thing down in Florida Keys, and our girls in the troop were trying to accomplish the chuck box challenge, which is you eat all the food in the chuck box and you have to drink like all the coffee.
Hmm.
I didn't realize that until like a couple days in, and you only have like a few, like 5 days that you're on the island, 4 nights, 5 days. So by the last day, you had to be finishing everything. So nearly a couple days before we leave, I start working on the coffee, and I'm like, oh, there's a lot that I have to go through. So I start packing in more than I should into this percolator. So when you do that and you only have so much water going through, it's much more concentrated. So I
Right.
was making espresso in 9 cups of water, and
Dad
I drank
gum.
3 of those pots. So I drank 3 pots of espresso basically. I was able to hear colors while I was trying to sleep, and that's very disconcerting when you're laying in a hammock on the beach.
It was like it was like that one episode of Futurama where it's like
Yes,
Fry when
it
he drinks the
100% was.
100 cups of coffee and he just like
And it's amazing because I was awake all night. I was up and down. I was watching the moon move through the sky as like it was like doing its thing. Like I was up, but I know that I got sleep. I just don't know how much because when I woke up finally in the morning, I was very well rested. I felt fine, but I felt like I also shouldn't have felt fine. So there's that.
you 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 speed slept. Your body
I speed slept. I
you,
micro napped like a pro.
you, you slept for 8 minutes and it felt like 8 hours.
Yes.
Your body processed into 8 hours.
My body metastasized the caffeine. I'm like, you know what? This is sleep now. This equates your sleep. You're fine.
But I remember that I remember as like I think the origin of like I mean espresso itself was just kind of like an accident of
Yeah.
someone just like rushing like hey could you make my coffee faster.
Yeah. There's a few more steps typically to making actual espresso and everything, but I just made a accidental off. I don't want to say off brand, but kind of just like a variant that was like, I don't think I'm ever going to do that again. I think I'll be okay.
Made a dirty espresso, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of coffee grounds in the bottom of that percolator.
uh let's see. uh okay, there was a question. How do you keep your fangs so sharp and clean?
With the blood of my enemies. But mostly just like hydrogen peroxide. I make sure to take care of them. Little brushies all over. I don't have actual claws. I have a finger claws, as you can see, that a lot of people are very upset about in this larger form. I have fur fingies, as we call them. So I can brush my teeth and take care of them as I need and pick them out, and the little sharp ends of my fingers act as like semi floss and stuff. So I take care of my teeth. But yeah, just good normal dental routine.
I I have to say it after seeing the fur thingies or whatever of this of the intrusive thought I have of just Slay Queen. Um, the way it
Yes,
was positioned.
I know
Um,
it works great because if I do this and then this,
uh, okay. What is your favorite dessert?
Boston cream pie or key lime pie,
Ooh, nice.
either or.
Uh, okay. Switch. What is your favorite sauce?
Ooh, my favorite sauce. I mean, I guess that would greatly depend upon what we're putting things on. If we're talking about like on a dessert or something, I like a good raspberry drizzle.
No, well, it's just like favorite sauce, like food sauce in general. Like if you were, right, like a condiment or sauce. Like,
That's a hard one because I don't really. So like even with my chicken nuggets and fries and stuff, I don't actually put anything on them. I just eat them as is. I don't
hmm,
put like ketchup, dip them in ketchup or honey mustard or anything. So, um, that's what I was saying. That's kind of hard. I don't put stuff like if the closest thing I have is like marinades on steaks,
hmm.
and it's not like I pour them on the steak afterwards. I just marinate them and then cook them. Um, but for those, like a good garlic and herb type sauce or marinade in that case. Otherwise,
It's like Tabasco sauce that you like adding to a bunch of stuff or anything like that, or
no, I'm not. I'm not. So I'm not huge on spicy things. I'm better at doing spicy things now than I was when I was younger. But I'm also not huge about like, oh, I gotta add on all the spice, all the things. It's like I enjoy spiciness as an accent to where it will improve the flavor of the dish, but I'm not trying to overshadow the dish either. I'm very particular of how I eat my foods because why does Siri keep wanting to talk to me? I'm very particular in that aspect just because I was raised in a way of try your food before you add things to it. Like don't start adding salt and pepper to your food before you've tried it first.
mm-hmm.
Because especially if it's a home cooked meal, because they typically are going to season it. Like if it's mass produced stuff, then obviously they're going to uh, dull down the sauce or whatever on it. But whenever I eat like I add food to my sauce.
Welcome in Pop Tart.
Whenever I do stuff like that, I prefer to eat it as is because the meal is made to be eaten as it already is, and adding
Hmm.
in extra stuff uh definitely changes the profile of the meal in general. So I don't know. It's hard for me to say if there's a sauce I really like. If I have to say anything like as far as dipping sauces, blue cheese or ranch, I suppose.
Hmm. What would be your favorite type of pizza?
Ooh, meat lovers, 100%. Don't give me veggies on my pizza. And I will take spinach, like spinach leaves on my pizza, but otherwise, just give me meat. I enjoy meat on my pizza.
You're a meatitarian.
I'm a meatitarian. If you put onions on my pizza, I will fight you. I can get by with a lot of things. I will make concessions for bell peppers and various other stuff and whatever. I'll work with you in a lot of regards. If you put onions on my pizza or on my burger, I am going to fight you.
He will do anything for love, but he won't do that.
I will not do that.
Uh, okay. And with these like favorite type of questions, if you need to do like a top three or something like that, or like a top two or three, that's perfectly fine.
Yes,
Um,
no pickles either. Absolutely no pickles on anything ever in existence.
blue cheese is the main one fresh. Never had a good shelf staple blue cheese dressing.
Ken's blue cheese. Ken's blue cheese dressing is a really good one. I think it tends to come in chunky variant. If you're okay with that, it's a really good one. I really enjoy that one, and that one can sit on the shelf for a while, and then you after you open it, you put in the refrigerator and stuff like that. But that one's a one that I normally go to if I'm going to have a blue cheese.
Hmm. Uh, so so moving away from food, what is your favorite book?
Ooh, that's probably the Looking Glass War, either the Looking Glass Wars trilogy, which was obviously as it sounds, it's Wonderland based.
Mm-hmm.
Um, The Stand by Stephen King,
Mm-hmm.
which I wouldn't say is like one of the quintessential books or anything like that. It's It's a book, but it had an impact on me because I read it when I was younger.
Hmm.
Um, and other than that, you used to probably get me to say like the Harry Potter series because I did love the Harry Potter series, but now I would more lean into like Rick Riordan's worlds, the Percy Jackson, and specifically the books, not the movies or anything like that, but like the book series of the Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, the Norse. I really enjoy how deep he dove into all of those. And finally, the one that was probably most influential and I loved most was Redwall.
Oh, okay.
Any of those books. That was like my series growing up before Harry Potter, and I still have all of my books on my bookshelf. Actually, my parents brought them down for me. I have a bunch of hard books and paperbacks, and those were my books when I was a kid because man, if I could figure out how to make those recipes that they talk about in those books, I would in a heartbeat because they talk about some of the things that they're feeding the different animals in it,
Hmm.
and it's just like I want to try that. That sounds so good.
You need to hit up like send some mail to binging with Babish or whatever and be like, do
Yeah,
a Redwall special, please.
do a Redwall everything series. Just once a week, just start going through all of it.
Oh, Gerardo says I love blue cheese. Oh, yeah, I like blue cheese. Although I don't know, I feel
A lot of
like
people don't.
yeah,
A lot of people can't get past the some of the consistency, and they get stuck in their mind about how like it's because of it being blue cheese, the nature of it is not fungus but mold type stuff, and that gets stuck in their heads of like they think like, oh, I'm eating mold, and cheese is a
yeah,
much more complex thing than just that.
yeah.
But
Also, to be fair, cheese itself is just kind of that
yeah,
that how you know how it becomes cheese in general, right?
yeah,
Um, unless it's craft singles, and that's a different animal. But
that's
if
plastic.
it's others, if it's otherwise, yeah. Um,
American cheese is just about two DNA shifts away from being plastic. So
uh, uh, yeah. I've tried. No, pardon me. But so I don't know. I've heard the only thing where it's like blue cheese on salad doesn't. I don't know. Doesn't
I
work
like
with
blue
me
cheese on salad,
for
but
some.
it does. I will say it does depend on the salad. I don't enjoy it on every salad. And I will say a blue cheese burger, like the I think it's at Red Robin's or whatever it is with the black and blue burger or something like that. That's really good. Having blue cheese, like good fresh blue cheese on a burger is really it gives a nice tanginess to it.
Oh yeah,
That's just delicious.
blue cheese on burger, very good.
Mm.
Um. Uh. Okay, so what would be your favorite movie?
These are always hard for me talking about like favorites and stuff, and I always tell my son because my son will ask me like, "Dad, what's your favorite this?" And I have to tell him, like, I've been alive so long that I've seen so many things that it's hard for me to really pick out and say, oh, this is my favorite thing because there's different times for different stuff. If I really had to pin it down, Labyrinth is probably one of my favorite movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, probably The Bourne Identity.
Mm-hmm.
Although it wasn't super uh, accurate to the book, um, it holds a special place in my heart because my dad actually referenced it to me when he was teaching me how to drive.
Hmm.
There's a certain scene in the Bourne Identity for the movie where Jason Bourne is in a diner. Him and the girl walk into the diner and they sit down and he's still confused about who he is and everything. And he looks at her and he's like, I don't understand anything about this, but I'm not normal. I walked into this restaurant and I can tell you who every one of these license plates belong to. I can tell you how many exits there are, where they are, and I can tell you how long I can run at a full out sprint at this altitude. Uh, and my dad was referencing this because as he was teaching me how to drive, he said, you have to be like Jason Bourne. Don't drive like Jason Bourne, but be like him in how he thinks. So be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of everything going around you. Know where every one of the cars is. Notice things that are going on in the distance. Like take in all of this information and be constantly going through it as you're, especially when you're driving, because that's what will do the best for keeping you safe. Yeah, the sequel to the Bourne Identity went even farther off the rails of accuracy to the series, to the trilogy, and it's meh.
Uh, let's see. What about a favorite? Okay, now I put this as favorite TV series, but I'm using that definition.
Criminal Minds or House, as far as TV series,
Hmm.
those are my two, probably the two that I still go back to. I don't really watch a lot of TV, especially anymore.
Yeah, I would include like by
Alternatively, Crunchyroll.
Hmm.
I can't even pick out one. I have an entire watch list of gargantuan proportions. I watch a lot of anime. Uh, so there's a bunch of different animes that I've watched, but pointed down to just TV shows. Criminal Minds, I really enjoy for the mental gymnastics in it, and the enjoyable mental and gymnastics. And House, I just appreciate someone who's a smartass, but people have to accept that. Well, he's right. He might be a jerk, and we might need to work on him some, but he's right for what he does, and typically, at least, he's not hurting people in his being right. So
It's still crazy that it's like the same like guy behind like the show House is also behind the show The Good Doctor, if I remember right.
I
Just
believe so. Oh, speaking of doctors, Doctor Who also. I do enjoy all the later Doctor Who stuff. I haven't watched through all the old stuff, but from the Ninth Doctor onwards, and in particular, David Tennant holds a special place in my heart.
Oh yeah, I love David Tennant's Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, would be your favorite musician slash bands?
Rise Against, Linkin Park. Um, there's another one. Serge Tankian.
What was the last one?
Serge Tankian. Better, most people know him from System of a Down, the
Oh,
lead singer. But he went and did his own solo stuff later on.
Okay.
I really enjoyed a lot of his solo stuff that he started doing away from System of a Down. I still enjoy System of a Down and all their stuff, but his independent stuff away from them spoke a lot more to the disaster and the genocide that's going on over there.
Would be your favorite album?
Probably Hybrid Theory from Linkin Park. That was a pivotal point in my youth.
Okay, kind of moving on more gamer stuff because we're real gamers here.
We are true gamers, yes.
Uh, what what is your favorite game?
Whoa. As we were talking about before, Persona 5 has, ever since it came out, hit way up there being in my top 5. I also have the Final Fantasy 6. Oh, there's a couple others too that I can't think off the top of my head. But Definitely Persona 5 recently, most recently, is overtaken a lot of my other game favorites.
Hmm.
Elden Ring I've really enjoyed, and recently Elden Ring Night Rain. Yeah.
Uh, what would be your favorite game character?
Probably Joker from Persona 5. Either Joker or Terra, the main girl character from Final Fantasy 6. They both have extremely, like, Joker just as a person I really enjoy, and how intelligent he really breaks down into being, but also reliant on his friends to know that he can't do everything alone.
Hmm.
Tara, for being as strong of a woman as she is, to have amnesia and stuff and be trying to figure out who she is, and also again relying on people. I feel like there's a common thread in that type of thing of people realizing that we can't just do everything alone. I think that might be a character trait that I really appreciate in game characters.
Hmm. You know what, a games like that? Death Strand. I was trying to
Yeah,
working
Death
on
Stranding.
terms of how like because there was some stuff that I was like wanted to about like Kojima or whatever, and I
Hmm.
that was a decent segue, right? That
Yeah,
was
I will say I do enjoy Metal Gear Solid, for example. The Metal Gear Solid games up through, like, so the first one was really good. The second one was weird. Um, but after that, the second one and onward was, funny enough, was interestingly enough, at least from what I understood, it was Kojima's answer to the fans, because the fans kept saying, "We don't understand what's going on. We need you to explain this better." And so he just kept going. And because I believe to Kojima, everything was succinctly really explained by the second one,
hmm
by the second Metal Gear Solid, but a lot of people didn't understand. And so he just pushed it farther to, like, well, let me just, I guess, frame out some more of this stuff. And they just kept being like, but what happened? And he's like, you guys are so stupid. What do you mean? I explained this already. Excuse me. But yeah. As far as Death Stranding, I really enjoyed that game. I don't know how I feel about the second one yet, as we were talking about before. It looks interesting. I'm sure that it definitely looks very pretty. Even prettier than the first one, which is saying
oh
something
yeah.
for how exceptional the first Death Stranding looked, both in gameplay and cinematics. Um,
Yeah, see this where it's like I believe the Death Stranding like one is like I think like is like the prettiest game I've ever played.
oh yeah, it's gorgeous. 100%.
Going around what we swear is America, definitely.
Definitely. I
America
mean,
looks like this. What?
it's definitely America, because I think, if I remember right, it's been a while since I played, but from what I remember in the lore of the game is that it's a post-apocalyptic world, right?
Yeah.
So presumably World War III or something thereof happened that destroyed a lot of the infrastructure and or land masses, which is why it looks so different. Now, the argument being made that people were making was, oh, you can't travel that fast by foot across America. Yeah, but do you really want another bus driver simulator? Do you?
Well, it's
Because you
more
keep
of
whining it like that. That's how we get Bus Driver Simulator, where you are driving, or what was it? Desert Bus Simulator, where you're driving literally 14 hours in game. Sorry.
see because it's like even this is like so it's more of like the landscapes because they're all
Yeah.
like they're I think they're even like going there. It's like yeah, so we modeled it all after Iceland,
Yeah.
like even on like the thing or whatever. So it's kind of going through you know, I I've I've been some different places, and you know, in America, and it's
Realistically, what they did was they took the Rockies and the Appalachians and removed everything in between them.
yeah, which is
And that's the America they made. That's all, like all those flatlands, they just removed all of that and they squished all of it together. And that's the game of Death Stranding. That's that environment.
but 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 I needed to go walk days and days through just flat fields of
Flat, empty,
grass fields.
overgrown cornfields that have
Yeah.
gone the way of whatever because nobody's keeping them up since everybody's staying in the little hovels now.
I need to walk 6 hours through Iowa and just cornfield through
I just need to walk backwards through this cornfield to feel
This-
really American. Sorry. Anyways.
it is I don't know, as seriously, I'm having flashbacks to like the several times where I've was in a car trip from
Mhm.
one side of Texas to El Paso,
Yeah.
and there is just
There's not a lot.
there's
There's a lot of empty.
if you like took out a square in the middle of Texas as far as land or whatever and just kind of squished it together, you would not be missing anything interesting.
Yeah.
It is just
My family drove cross country at one point when I was younger. It was sort of as a kind of a graduation present to my brother ish. But we drove out west and we drove like in this big loop, visit a lot of family and things like that. But basically going to the Grand Canyon and many other like caves and stuff like that. But um, driving through Texas was the longest slog of the entire trip because it wasn't even a fun, like everything else in our trip was like fun where it's like look at the pretty sights, and then we hit Texas is just like just go to sleep.
Yeah.
Don't recognize it, don't look it in the eye.
I it pretty much it really is, because it's like on the western part you get kind of more like you're at that point you're like American Southwest and that type of stuff, which looks interesting.
Yeah,
You know, on the east part you do have some forest area. The
a
north
little bit.
there is little bits of canyon in the north. In the south, you know, at that point you're just like, well, there's beach and coastline. And then there's the middle where it's just like in the middle we have Oklahoma.
Yeah,
And as everyone knows, you just go up, yeah, there's just yeah, take a nap, you're fine. Whereas unless
You're
you
not
are
missing
like
anything.
unless you are really excited to look at like
Dirt.
a dried grassy shrub, then I mean then, you know, I got some nice thing to go to tell you about of some nice just dry shrub after dried shrub. If you're not into the
shrubbery.
yes, shrubbery. So unless you're a part of the knights who say "Nah," then you're not gonna be you're not you're gonna have a bad time.
Very bad time.
Oh gosh. Anyway, but yeah, I Death Stranding is one of my favorite games. So I am forward to waiting probably 6 months or something like that for when
Right.
the sequel comes out on PC.
Yeah. For like one of the things about Kojima that I really like, which is why I'm sad that the PT game didn't come to fruition for him getting to do Silent Hill, but I'm glad that Death Stranding got to get made as a result after him working with Norman Reedus.
Hmm.
Uh, Kojima's one of those developers that a lot of people don't understand the messages that he's trying to push out, that he's like framing in his games. And that's really a shame because he really showcases a lot of intellect in the way that he's framing the stories and the uh, storytelling devices that he uses. Now, the one thing that I will say about Kojima, of as much as I respect him as a developer, he is kind of full of himself. Uh, he and that's both a good and a bad thing because he is well aware of how good he is,
Mm-hmm.
but that also can be to his detriment because he knows how good he is.
Yeah.
So it gives him that inflated ego when it's like, maybe you should tone it down just like, a smidge.
Yeah. It's sort of it's like on the one hand it makes you think I have this idea and I'm gonna do it, which because that I'm gonna boldly do this idea I have. We're gonna do it. On the other hand, it means you're gonna boldly of like try this thing, and you're
Yeah.
probably not gonna be. So it's if you are cooking, you are gonna cook something fierce.
That's why I do respect him because like he's pushed out stuff like Death Stranding, for example. It's divisive on how people feel about it, and that's fine. But the one thing that you have to say is that it's not a game that most people could have made. It's not a game that many people would make. I liken it to the how everybody talks about. I don't want to see the same movies in the movie theater. You're just making sequels and remake. That's because that's all that you watch. You're not going out to see the other stuff because it's outside of your comfort zone, you little crap hole. Anyways,
It's like my brother in Christ. You keep on buying the movie tickets for.
You bought the DVD to Friends series like in 12 different formats. They're not going to make new stuff for you because they can still make money off of you. Like and that's why I respect people like Kojima, because he's not afraid, especially now. He's not afraid to be like, no, I have this idea and I'm going to go with it. If you don't like it, then I'll do it myself. Like he's absolutely not afraid of doing that. And that steps on some people's toes. And on the alternative is that some of the stuff that he does make is I don't want to say too high intellect, but it is not everybody can put the pieces together of the jigsaw, basically. And that can make it difficult for people to appreciate his games for what they are. I know one of my friends, if he was here, he would be screaming in rage because he's a game dev himself and he has a bone to pick with Kojima, just on principle. But
yeah,
I do enjoy him as a game dev.
Although I feel like with Death Stranding, it kind of wears like some of its a lot of its stuff on like its underlying messaging and stuff like that on its sleeve.
Oh yeah,
it's like this is a game about connections and the importance of them.
Yeah,
that is, and all the gameplay reinforces that constantly.
Well, I mean, so realistically, when you go back and look at all of his different games and like Metal Gear Solid and everything, there is a overline message to all of them. Like all of them have a certain message that it's trying to pass on that typically people pick up on. But then Kojima also has the underlying message beyond that is much more subtle and is woven into the various stuff that he is trying to tell through the cinematics or whatever else. And those are much harder for people to pick up on.
Yeah. That's kind of one of the things where it's like, I'd say at that point, that's when you have like really good art.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like,
Up to the interpretation of the viewer. Yep.
Well, it's like there's a lot of stuff that there's layers for you to like pick through, and like there's all these small but like intentional decisions that you can pick up on
Mm-hmm.
and notice, like um uh so, and especially with someone like Kojima, because it's one of the interests, like, is that this is someone, he very much has he has he's a game developer with the with sort of like with the eye of a cinematographer.
Yes.
Because I was like even going back, because like I played through Death Stranding before, and I'm like going back over on stream, and it's really interesting to know like some of this stuff where you're seeing like just these camera shots that you're really appreciating of, like, dang, that's a really good shot or whatever, or establishing shot, or
Mm-hmm.
if I was much more versed in the terminology or whatever, I could say. But it's really, really fascinating to pick on that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Um, uh, s- yeah, man, I needed to go back and do some more of the the Metal Gear games, because
They're good.
I've streamed
Metal Gear
3.
Solid 1. Metal Gear Solid 1 is probably honestly the best overall. Um, Metal Gear Solid 2 is a bit trippy, but there's a lot of underlying everything to that one. Which is that was the one where he was like, okay, I'll do one thing to just explain some stuff and then we're done.
Mm,
So that one's technically made to explain everything you really need to know about like the Human Genome Project and stuff like that.
mm.
But people again kept going, wanting to get more of it, which is where you got 3. Which, don't get me wrong, 3 was a great game, like very extensive, very fun, very unique mechanics to it. But he didn't want to do that. He kept trying to back out of it, and every time he kept trying to back out of doing another Metal Gear Solid. The fans wanted it, and so the publisher was like, "Well, we'll just make it without you." He's like, "No, no, no, I'm not going to let you frick up my baby,
Yeah.
my hard work that I've done with your so-called storylining." Like,
Fine, I'll
no,
go ahead and make one of the best games ever,
yeah, exactly.
and make one of the most enduring, like, and help like establish, give one of the most enduring, and establish the big boss as one of the most enduring characters in the
Mm-hmm.
franchise. Fine. Oh gosh. All right, I got to do an ad break,
Yep,
but we'll do back that, or we will. Oh my gosh, I can word, I swear. We'll do that,
probably can.
and then we will be right back. So see y'all in just 3 minutes. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Back to Spilling the Tea. We are back with Cheshire Jack. And once again,
Hello.
if you have any questions, feel free to put those in chat. Um so but yeah, just some of the thing I feel like I'm like with anything I'm looking forward to, I feel kind of like nervous or whatever. I hope it turns out to be as good as I hope it is,
Mhm.
as is the nature with hype, but I don't
Yeah.
I saw someone playing I rated in someone that was playing Death Stranding 2 last night, and I was
Oh.
like, my response was like, "Oh wow, this looks really good."
Yeah, it definitely looks really good, and
It's like,
eventually I'll play it. I'm not as like hard pressed to play it like right away like I was for the original Death Stranding, but I am interested in it because it looks really cool. And
oh,
it's only one tail Pop Tart, and no, I cannot fly with it.
no, but yeah,
I am not like Tails.
I, I do think I do really like or whatever I say is that I've seen where it's the VTuber Pecora from Hololive that she makes an appearance in Death Stranding 2.
That's wild.
And you even get like a hat, like a little rabbit hat or whatever that Sam can wear. So
That
it's
is absolutely wild.
and it if you're wearing it, it means Sam will say it'll say things like Pecco and Pecora.
The amount that Norman Reedus has to be paid, and he still has no idea who these people are, flabbergasts me.
he 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 really must. Man, Kojima has some like a golden like tongue or whatever in terms of like
No, I
convincing
promise you that
people.
Kojima doesn't know who these people are either. I promise you, Kojima has no idea who that person is.
Well, like, oh, Pecora, no, like, though it's like, no, he know who Pecora is.
Does he?
Like,
Okay.
he, because there was like a big thing of, she's like a fan of Metal Gear Solid.
Mhm.
So she was like, there was a big thing about her playing Metal Gear Solid 3, and he like did a couple tweets about it on like
Okay.
her doing the thing.
That's fair.
So it's like, it meant he was actively like watching it or
He
whatever.
was paying attention. Okay.
Yeah. So
There's a lot of times that people will do things like that, and Kojima does not care or pay attention to it. But it was nice to see that he saw that.
yeah, so it's like it's one of those like things that it's like apparently it's like full on intentional because like he was talking about it, and then also like there's like one of like he both and so like he's like directly talked with like Pecora um like during like developing of Death Stranding, like to add her in and stuff like that. So it
Oh, at that point, at that juncture, Reedus is just like, "You want me to say what? All right, cool."
so Kojima has some, man, he is. Because you do get the vibe that it's like a lot of these people where it's like genuinely like friends like with a lot of like the people he ends up working with or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, bro, Yano del Toro plays like a significant character in your game. You you don't get that. Del Toro is one of those guys. He's not gonna do something like that unless he like really like believes in a project or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like he's like, I could be making a movie right now, or directing, or looking over some stuff, or for a new movie or whatever. It's like, I'll take some time out. Yeah, sure, I'll be a character, a big character in your game.
Oh yeah. I mean, also like the other thing is that Norman Reedus worked with Kojima for PT, which is why like they were really excited between all three of them. Del Toro, Regis, and Kojima worked on PT together, and they were actually extremely excited about working together because like they felt such like concert working together. It flowed so well that they were excited, and then they got shut down by Konami because they didn't want to pay, you know, Kojima what he's worth. And so Kojima's like, you know what? I'll take it and I'll make my own game with my own hookers and blackjack. And he did it. And it's
Yep.
arguably better than the Silent Hill series is doing.
Yep.
Though, speaking of that with the segue, the new Silent Hill looks really good.
Yeah, I haven't really seen there. It's like I'd
Did you
only
not
seen
see
like
the
bits and
new trailer, the Silent Hill F?
I guess I'm just like not a huge Silent Hill fan or whatever. Although it's kind of so
Fair.
it's one of those. So, although I feel like I would be, I don't. Um. Uh. Like, I know a lot of like the plots because I watched. I watched internet historians like
Mm-hmm.
one of his secret channels where like the story mode explained where he goes through the plot of the different Silent Hill games, so
Mm-hmm.
the main beats.
The Silent Hill is one of those that it's between it and Resident Evil. Like, I want them to be doing better than they were. And Resident Evil is trying to definitely push for that with the way that they're trying to like
Mm.
basically retcon a lot of their games to rewrite it and make it more coherent. Silent Hill is a twisted one because they tried to make it interwoven with each other,
Mm-hmm.
like connected between like the first one is connected to the third one, and then the second one's connected to the third and like something else. Like is weird, but what they really should have stuck to is just stuck to like the sort of it being an idea of a place instead of like this actual like whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like
or
they should.
it's different for every like. It's different depending on like the person who's doing it. So it's like
Right.
it's specifically speaking to that character's what their beef is or whatever.
Their personal hell or
Yeah.
what have you. Yeah, but there's also the problem is that there's more to it than that, which is why it started getting a lot of flack because I don't want to say it's not that simple because it actually is like there's a different way that they were trying to take it and they couldn't do it the right way, and then it got conflicted.
Mm. Uh yeah, so let me okay. Uh so next question. So what is your favorite, and I should just go ahead and say this. What is your favorite non-curse word?
Probably flubbernutter.
Flubbernuffer? Wait, yeah, flubber. Oh my gosh.
Flubbernutter.
Flubbernutter. Not fluffernutter.
Nope.
Flubbernutter. Okay. Uh, uh, what is your least favorite word?
Mm. I know a lot of people don't like the word moist and stuff like that. I don't actually have a word that I don't really like. Like that bothers me just listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, I don't really have a word that really bothers me or that I just don't enjoy.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, now what is your favorite curse word?
Hmm. always shit. Just just straight up that. That's why I normally like when something scares me, I normally some form of shit or fuck comes out because I'm not expecting something to happen.
Hmm.
Sometimes it comes out as both of just me saying shit fuck, so there's that.
Okay, so next question. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Hmm. Well, technically, I'm going for a profession now. It's what I didn't realize that I should be doing, but I'm going back to school for social work because I
Oh.
want to basically be a counselor therapist. To be able to, one of my big goals I kind of want to do is I want to be able to help neurodivergent individuals like learn how to interact with the world around them
Hmm.
and to do so in a way where they don't have to mask, where they can learn how to interact with the world around them without having to try and hide themselves or to know that they don't have to hide themselves from people. As well as in tow with that, like doing educational stuff for people who aren't neurodivergent to help them understand that there's a bigger world than what they understand.
Hmm. Okay. I really hope that's the things work out for you doing that.
Yeah,
Definitely need more social workers out there.
yeah, it's a not doesn't have nearly as many people as it should. It's a vastly understaffed profession.
Hmm. Uh.
I think a part of that also comes to that not as many people understand the scope of social work and just what all it might entail.
Hmm.
So,
Uh. Okay. So next one. Uh. If you had $100 million to make a movie, what would it be?
make a movie. If you had said a game, I could have come up with some stuff, but like, so it's the same reason why like some of the movies I named were like older movies. I I don't really watch a lot of movies this day and time because I don't get as immersed into them. Um, if I was going to make one though, it would probably be I'd probably try to make something like on the lines of like Inception to like sort of a psychological thriller ish,
Hmm.
or just to like a one that tries to keep people on the edge of their seats thinking and unsure of where things are going.
Especially put as far as like basically at what point you're pretty much producing the movie or whatever. So you could pick like directors and actors or you have like
Right.
input on actors stuff like that. So, um, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. One
Pablo.
of my pet
I would have
crabs keep
Pablo in there.
one of my
Pablo
pet crabs.
Pascal.
Oh,
Hmm.
sorry. Pop,
No, you're
pop,
good.
pop, pop. Oh my gosh. Pablo Pascal. He played.
I would have him as an actor.
Mm, and he's because he played. He was in Better Call Saul, right? As one of the drug guys, lords.
I think so.
He's been in number
More recently, he was in
Last of Us.
Last of Us. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
he was in the movie with Nicolas Cage. He
Oh,
was Mandalorian. He was Mando.
yeah. I One of my pet crabs is keep on trying to climb glass to get
That's
out of
not exciting.
this crab. You're not gonna be able to get up glass. I'm sorry. That's not how that works. You're not a gecko.
Hmm.
I hate to break it to you. I think it's the same one that was trying to do that the other day. Okay. Sorry, I they're doing a lot of active things, a lot more active than they are, and it's tricky because they're in my line of sight while I'm doing this. Is the
Ah.
thing. So because I have them off to the left, just to the
Mhm.
left of me. So
Yeah.
they're in my like their enclosure is in my peripheral vision.
Right.
So it's not it's not like I'm completely turning to a different part of the room. It's the fact that my brain is detecting movement,
Mm-hmm.
and it's when you say, "Hey, there's movement. Hey, there's movement.
Right.
Hey, there's movement. You should check it out. Hey, there's movement. You should check it out. Hey, there's movement. Stop it. Make it stop." Uh, there's some nice neurodivergent character stuff going on right
Mhm.
there. Uh, my autism is showing. Although actually, I'm about to go like not to beat a horse where just because I was like talking to someone else or whatever, of like so like they describe Hideo Kojima as like he's like if Quentin Tarantino's autism was in a good way.
Yeah.
uh
That's wholly accurate.
See, there's there's the good kind of there's the good kind of wow, you're really autistic, and there's the bad kind of wow, you're really autistic.
Yeah.
We all know exactly what we're talking about there.
Unfortunately.
Uh one is I'm gonna make a AAA game where you deliver packages and you have a baby in a jar
Yeah.
and it's gonna be sweet. The other is I'm gonna write myself into a movie and my character's gonna say a whole lot of racial slurs for
Yep.
some reason.
For no good reason.
And listen, we
Artistic direction, as they say.
yeah. And listen, we both know they both like feet, but Kojima's a little bit, except for a few moments where you're kind of like, although at least Kojima's not as weird about it. He just maybe like, I need to take scans of all my actresses' feet for like to
Yep.
for the thing or whatever. Just I need to do that for the to where at
Yeah.
least it's justifiable. And then there's Quentin Tarantino. So I need to write myself where I'm sucking on this actress's toe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Stunning.
well, one has standards. Okay.
That's one thing we can call it.
Uh, oh gosh. Okay. Okay. Uh 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 this is still much me being less obsessive than about uh uh um J.J. Abrams.
Mm-hmm.
Do not get me on the topic of J.J. Abrams. He is the bane of my existence.
I can imagine.
I'm not gonna say anything. We're just gonna. I will be like, you can be on for 2 more hours, right? And it's just me ranting, and most of it's just me ranting about J.J. Abrams. Me ranting about him and his freaking mystery box. Uh, okay. Next question is, who is your waifu or husbando?
I mean, other than my actual wife. Um, that's a really good question. I feel like I used to really have a good answer for this, but it's just over the years I've just kind of fallen off that track of being of like, oh, this is the one I'm gonna. I'm just like, no, I'm happy with what I got. My wife's my waifu. She's actually
Aw.
labeled. She's named waifu in my phone. So I mean, I guess that's the answer to that. She's my waifu.
Aw. You went full 3D. You went with a 3D. You went with a 3D waifu.
I went there with a 3D waifu. I succumbed to the 3D.
The 3D heresy. Uh. Okay. What inspired you to get into streaming?
Ooh, so I had a couple people that I would watch and stuff. Originally, I was watching Markiplier and YouTubers and stuff like that. And at a point, I was sitting there where I wanted to play games and I wanted to get through, and my backlog has not gotten any better. So this has been an utter failure for that. But I wanted to get through a lot of the games that I was getting, and I wanted to play more, and I needed to figure out a way that I could make time for that. And so part of it was because I wanted to really get into playing those games. Um, and me sitting there and watching like these YouTubers and stuff like that, in particular, like people playing video games, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I can do that. And not in a fashion of ignorance, but literal, like, I understood they're doing improv. I understood that they're having to talk to themselves a lot where there's nobody talking back. I understood
Hmm.
the ways of editing. I understood a lot of concepts to it. So it wasn't so much of I can do that and just ramshackle my way through. Like my first things I was doing was I was making videos and editing them and putting them onto YouTube. And then I decided to start doing streaming on the side of that. And I was doing both YouTube and Twitch streaming simultaneously, and then eventually it was like, oh, you've hit Twitch part or Twitch associate, whatever it is, affiliate. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And they're like, by the way, that means that you can't stream anywhere else. Great. So I'm glad that they've changed that, and now that I can stream other places to diversify. But originally, I was just making some small videos here and there, webcamming and everything, and I still do webcam occasionally. I'm not afraid of that. I actually utilize VTube model because I enjoy the some of the creative outlet that it can lend itself to. But
Mhm.
it's not one of those that I'm absolutely dependent upon. I need the model sort of thing. I'll switch out to webcam without a problem.
Hmm. Although I think that pretty much answers like my next question, which is like why VTubing. So maybe want to elaborate a little bit maybe on like kind of the aesthetics of it or on that drew you in.
So, as far as VTubing, I like my name Cheshire Jack. It's referencing to the Cheshire Cat, which is my favorite fictional character in existence, hands down. I not the Disney one, but the actual Cheshire Cat. He's very enigmatic. He's very elusive and aloof, and also strangely wise without people really knowing what he's doing. Like his referencing to like, well, I'm trying to get somewhere, or I want to get to this place. Oh, well, where are you trying to go? Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to get there. Well, all you have to do is walk. As long as you keep walking, you'll get somewhere.
Right.
So, like, things like that make him interesting to me. So I wanted to be able to be my own variation of the Cheshire Cat, which is a encrypted version. And so I understood that me as a person couldn't suddenly grow a bunch more eyes, fur, and turn into this cryptid creature,
You
but
can't.
yeah, right. Big surprise for all the immersion people out there. But I could do it through VTubing. I could utilize this asset and be able to create this deeper lore and everything aside from um, what people normally see. And so I've gotten to the point where like I have three reference sheets now, and one of them has this like type of cat form, but I also have one that has a human form that actually looks very much like me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's intentional because it's supposed to be like when I turn into a human form, I tend to look like how I actually look. So it was mostly for the creative functionality because there's certain things that I can do with VTube that I can't do with solely with webcam.
Mm.
And I found that intriguing and fun to be able to play around with.
Mm. All right. So, what is your biggest inspiration for what you do?
Ooh, some
Eh,
it's my family.
mm,
Uh wanting to be able to entertain other people, make them laugh, and help people be who they are without having to hide. That's definitely my family.
mm,
Um, Other than that, probably like realistically, Markiplier, especially like I respect his newer stuff and everything, and I still like the stuff that he puts out and everything. But uh, as far as inspiration for getting into streaming, uh, recording videos and stuff like that was definitely Markiplier that I say looking up to in the barest bone sense because I don't actually view people as heroes or put them on those pedestals, which I've discovered is much different from a lot of people. Like I view people as people.
mm.
If you have a check mark next to your name, you're just as much of a person as me or anyone else, and that confuses some people that I don't like. I respect the like people who maybe partner on Twitch, for example. I respect them because they put in a lot of work,
Yeah.
but I don't put them as heroes of like, oh, you're this amazing. Oh, worship the ground you walk. They're a person, and I promise you that most of the time they would much rather you just treat them as a person because that makes them feel much less awkward.
Yeah. You respect someone's like abilities and work
Yeah,
they put into stuff and like that. So if you respect, the amount of effort and work that's like someone like Markiplier has like put into their stuff,
yes.
and kind of like maybe trying to take notes on stuff that
What
seems
are
to
some things that they did? What are ways that they work? And that's one of the things that I suggest to people too, because there have been a number of people who've come to me for advice of how to succeed in content creation. And one of the things that I tell people is that I'm not successful not because I couldn't be. I am, and I say successful like I have a steady amount of people that come by and watch everything. So in its own fashion, I am successful. But as far as being like a big household name like Markiplier or Jacksepticeye or whoever else, like, am I in that level of success? No. But I understand the process of how to get there. I can advise people of how to get to that point. I can guide, I can help, I can do all the stuff that they need. Like, but I myself can't do it. And it's not a cant if I'm unable to. It's a cant of I have other obligations. I have my family, I have school, I have stuff that if I wanted to be able to succeed to the point that it would be a successful endeavor of like monetary wise or something like that, I would have to sacrifice other stuff that I am unwilling to do, at least at this point in my life.
Hmm.
And that's something I think a lot of people don't understand. I do have like some friends that do have me on like kind of like the on speed dial almost. It's why I'm drawn to as manager. Part of the reason I'm drawn as manager, stuff like that, is because I understand the game. I understand how to do it. I understand all that stuff. I just don't have the incentive to focus on that when I have other things I need to do, like put bread on the table.
Right. Um. If okay, so how long have you been streaming?
Oh, 2019, so 6 years? Yes. 5.5, 6 years, something like
Was 2019 released 6 years ago?
that.
I just hurt myself. I hurt myself today. See.
Fine. I'm my age, I'm doing that on the daily with my children. There's a song that came out that could not speak. I say came out. Somebody made a parody of 1985, the song by Bowling for Soup, and they named it 2005. And it hurts. It hurts a lot, and I don't appreciate it, but it is accurate.
It, well, like I think it first like hit me like really as far as like um of like coming across a meme or whatever of like what do you think when someone says retro games and it shows like image of like of Final Fantasy like 7,
Yeah,
and then but what actually would be like uh retro games and then it shows Final Fantasy 10 and you're
yeah.
like yeah, I remember
PlayStation 2 is retro games now.
yeah, I remember seeing that a few years and I was like, "Oh yeah, really? That's true."
It's been long enough
Damn.
that those are retro, and then farther back, I think, is now classic or something like that. Yep, it's wild how all that, like, we were having to talk about that in my Discord, because I do a thing called discussion of the day, where we try to ask questions that will spark like discussions, and for people to like talk with each other, that sort of thing, in the general chat.
Mm.
And one of them was talking about how do you classify classic, retro, vintage, and stuff like that. And it got a really interesting like outpouring of people talking about different things. And one of the things we had to place down for people for like video games and stuff, that a lot of people like don't have the full frame of reference, is that video games haven't even been around for a century.
Yeah.
Video games, as far as being on console and stuff, have been around for 50-ish years. Like, I believe it was 70. I did a paper on this and everything. It was like, I think it was like the first game was in 53, 55 or something like that, but where it could be actually purchased, like Atari and stuff like that, was like in the 70s.
Yeah, like
Games
yeah, late
haven't been
70s.
around. Yeah, games haven't been around that long. Like, and that's something that people really need to realize. Movies have been around for over a century.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, for sure it's like yeah, and even then it's kind of like video games in terms of as being able to like if you really want to go in terms of like maybe as far as like what they can do, so like for example like a video game as that can like actually like tell a story, like be like tell a like story or something like that, shave
Mhm.
off another like 10 years because it's
Yeah.
like um Pong does not really count as like a very compelling story, is not known for its compelling narrative. the game
No.
Pong. Um, so you're at that point you're basically like late 80s where you can really kind of like start to use like stuff as a like actually start to still tell stories and stuff like that.
Right.
So, uh, but yeah. What was the? So, what have you enjoyed most about streaming?
Getting to meet all the people that I've gotten to meet. I've gotten to meet people like Geronimo, Izzy, Muse, Ultimate Caster, a bunch of people that I consider very dear friends. Sam Gamer. There's so many others. Like there's a number of people that I've gotten to meet, I've gotten to be friends with, and um, I consider very important in my life that um, I've kind of lost some of due to just like moving around some, and so I'm not physically close to certain people. But I learned long ago that when you make certain internet friends, a lot of those tend to stick around a lot more than uh, your normal physical friends. So
Hmm.
it's been really enjoyable to get to meet a lot of people who legit are interested in getting to know me or want to talk or want to see me or and spend time with me as I play through and share like a new story game or just do really stupid stuff like with my friend Captain Izzy where we just play video games on typically on Sundays where we just play stupid stuff and things. But at the same time, like it's gained to have made this community that I've made has been really enjoyable. I've gotten to meet a lot of people so far, and I hope to continue meeting more and more people and growing out that community of like-minded individuals.
Hmm. Um. Okay. So, what have you streamed that has had like the most psychological or emotional impact on you?
I didn't stream it, but I remember playing Bioshock Infinite for the first time way back in the day where I was streaming. Uh, and that was a total mind bending in on itself, uh, messing with me type of game. Um, and I'm sure there's some other ones. I'm trying to look through right now. In particular, probably was like some horror games because that's normally what I really enjoy getting into. Um, I think there's like Amnesia, one of the Amnesias. Buddy Simulator 1984 was actually a really good mind bending game that really made me question a lot of things. Soma was another one. Soma was really good. That really forced me to ask a lot of questions. There's this. Oh, I know. This isn't like so. These aren't really like story games, but there's a studio called Random Studios. I'll type in the chat. Uh, Random Studios, and they make these games that are how they tout it as psychological quizzes
Mm-hmm.
or psychological answering tests. And you answer all the questions, and there's a lot of interesting, weird, messed up questions sometimes. But what they do is they utilize that to break down uh, a certain way of what you're thinking. And it's not your normal personality test of like, are you the type of person who takes charge? No, one of the questions in one of the games was like, would you beat up a nun? And then it like goes on, it's like, oh, okay, interesting. And then like a couple questions later, like, But really, if you could just punch a nun, would you do it? Like, they ask some really like weird questions like that, but they also ask a lot of like you really have to self-reflect. Like if you had to, if both your parents were alive and you're a zombie apocalypse or something, and you could only save one of them, who would you save? Sort of thing. Like,
Hmm.
um, various questions of like deep psychological, really have to sit there and truly ask yourself the philosophical questions. And those ones are always interesting to really sit with and give yourself some time of self-reflection of like, okay, but how do I feel about this? What would I really take from this sort of thing? So those are some of the games that I've really have stuck with me over the years.
Hmm. Uh. Okay. So what it was has been one of the most memorable moments streaming.
Probably hitting our some of our goals for like charities. That's always been a enjoyable uh thing for us to hit. I think especially I think I hit it was either I think it was $500. That was my aim, and we were able to smash that at the park. And I vividly remember that because I was able to use the crowd control, and I was playing Subnautica at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a clip still on my channel of me playing Subnautica and talking, and then all of a sudden a Ghost Leviathan Reaper is just summoned in front of me, and I nearly shit my pants because I was in the shallows. And for those who don't know what that means, there's not stuff that kills you in the shallows. And if a Ghost Leviathan Reaper, which is bigger than the shallows, appears, he can't get out. So he's just stuck swimming in like small little circles around that. But one of my friends dropped some money to do that, and it was hilariously funny. But yeah, getting to do things like charity and seeing an outpouring of sure, let's poke fun and harass the streamer sort of thing, but also they do it because it's for a good cause, because they want to help. And I always appreciate stuff like that.
Mm. Uh. All right. What has been your favorite collaborative events?
Ooh. Most often my long-standing sort of I call them dates. Like we sort of call them dates because it's just like it's a standing date sort of thing. But me and my friend Izzy have a on Sundays we typically have a time set aside that we just stream together because we're very close friends and we want to make sure that we just like are able to have some time to do things together. And so we'll all stream, or sometimes me and him will stream. And that's been one of my favorite things of being able to do is just because we both work so well off of each other and have a lot of fun that it's enjoyable to just play games with each other and just kind of not have to really worry. Uh, Alternatively, I have a lot of fun when I play games with Geronimo.
Mm-hmm.
Helping her out. And apparently, a lot of her community also enjoys watching me either play games with her or be like uh, was it a game guide for her. Um, so that's always fun. Once I start getting into too many people in a collab, though, I start to not enjoy it because it's just as much as I love chaos, if you can't understand what's going on, it's no longer enjoyable chaos. It's just cacophony.
Mm-hmm.
So, most often it's been like four or fewer people just gathering up to do stupid shenanigans. One of my thinking about it recently, probably Repo. Game to play Repo, I think, was with Geronimo, Dula, Izzy, me, and I think there may have been one more person, maybe two. But Repo definitely has been hilarious amounts of fun to play with a bunch of people.
Okay.
Alien fandom, right? That's who it was. Alien. Yeah, that was Alien got stuck in a chair. That's right. How could I forget that? In between a chair and a wall. I don't even know how.
Oh, oh goodness.
Yeah, it was bad.
What are some short-term streaming goals do you have?
Um, I would like to get to 2,000 followers. I don't see that happening before the end of the year. Just because I'm not devoting as much time as I really need to do that. But I'm like 220 followers away, but I would like to get to 2,000. If not, I'm not too hurt about it. Other than that, I would like to get back into doing charity streaming. I haven't done it in a couple years just because I started going back to school and a lot of stuff just was taking up my time. So I'd like to get back into doing some charity type streams here and there. If I can get away with not having like all the time obligations, feeling like I have to be doing a charity stream every quarter. That just burns me out.
Hmm. What about some long-term streaming goals that you happen to have?
Ooh. I don't know. I think my longest, like, the long term is keep going. Just keep playing around with it. Maybe if I get to a good point with being out of school and my social work stuff is at a stable point, I would like to like see a bit more success and or like possibly interconnecting my social work stuff with streaming, but that's something that I would have to see down the road and see where how we're doing first and if that would be a viable avenue.
Right. So, and also we're at our last last couple of questions. So if there is any other questions that you would like to ask Cheshire, please make sure to put those in the chat now, so we can get to those. But if you could collab with one famous streamer, who would you pick?
It would never happen, but I would love to collab with Markiplier, whether on a video or in a stream. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I honestly do feel that we would play well off of one another, mainly because I am very much attuned to uh, the humor of him, Bob, and Wade. I have very similar type of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And not in a factor of, oh, I've been watching them forever, so I know what they're laughing. No, I legit just that's the stupid stuff that I do. Um Other than that, I don't know. I don't like I said before, or I've said to you of like we were talking about earlier, I don't really super put people up on pedestals and stuff. So a lot of the time I don't even like super think about people in that terms of like, oh, this person's super famous. And then the alternative to that is that I see a lot of people who do get that well known. Uh, the names that come to mind are like Ninja Ludwig and stuff like that, where it's like, I don't really think I would ever want to collab with them or be involved. They, to me, a lot of those individuals have a sort of ego about them, which is fine
Mm-hmm.
in a certain respect, but in another form of it, it's not interesting for me to be like, oh, I want to be a part of that act. No, I'm good. So
Hmm.
Markiplier is probably the closest to any of that I would care, and that's mainly because I know he as a person is a good guy, and it would actually be interesting and probably funny to hang out with him.
Uh, okay. So then our last question will be, so what advice would you give to people considering streaming or VTubing?
Self-reflect first. I've always been one to support people and say, go do the thing, go stream, go all of this. But one of the things that I've gone more into telling people is streaming is not cut out for everyone. Content creation isn't cut out for everyone. Like I was saying earlier about uh how I was looking at it and I was like, I could do that. And yes, I can. Not everyone can. Anybody can pick up a camera, anybody can start up the stream, anybody can do this, that, or the other, but not everyone should.
Hmm.
And that's a very important distinction to make. And the other thing is that your health, your physical and your mental health should come first. So if you're hyper focusing on things like numbers and anything like that, and not to say you shouldn't pay attention to numbers, I don't agree with the sentiment of don't look at your numbers and how many viewers you. In order to grow, you have to look at numbers. You have to look at the analytics in order to know what's working, what's not working. Even when you're small, you have to look at all that information to start gathering ideas because your analytics will tell you, like, oh, I dropped viewers around this time. What was going around on that time? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, there was this technical problem or there was this problem. So, gain an understanding of what's going on with your numbers is important. But first and foremost, your health should always come first. Um, and if you're not taking care of yourself, it's just going to hurt you in the long run. And the other piece of advice is that your community is what you allow. So if you allow people to harass you and to be a jerk to you and to treat you like garbage, that is what your community is going to become because other people are going to come in. They're going to see people acting like that and they will either A, leave or B, join in. And then you will eventually be surrounded by all of those type of people. So surround yourself by the type of people that you want and don't put up for any type of attitude or actions that you don't want as part of your community.
Hmm. Uh, okay. Well, let's see, cultivate your community, your vibe attracts your tribe. Mhm.
Yep.
Um, okay. So, let me see. Well, debating whether if I'll stream after this, but I really do appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much, Sir Jack. Is there any upcoming events or things people should be on the lookout for on your channel that's coming up?
Oh, well, I've got a couple games I'm going to be reviewing. What games were those even? It's I get so many random little games and stuff. I've got if my computer would actually load the thing. I've got this thing called Fear the Time Loop and Theropods. I got those couple games that I'm going to be reviewing at some point. I
Mm.
also got a couple of Gundam models
Ooh,
that I'm going to be building on stream probably sometime this coming week. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, just some normal stuff. I don't have anything too hefty planned. I'm still recovering from being super busy this past month.
right. Okay. So thanks so much. And I hope y'all have enjoyed this episode of Spilling the Tea. Once again, we were for our lovely guest Cheshire Jack. Well, and I hope to see y'all next episode.